If you haven't traveled internationally in recent years, you might be surprised by how much things have changed. Some things are easier than ever, and others are a lot more complicated. And some of the changes can cost you money or create unnecessary stress if you aren't prepared.
And we've traveled extensively, both for work and leisure, separately and together. And in this video, we'll walk you through some of the biggest things that have changed about international travel, show you practical ways to prepare for them, and share some personal stories that illustrate our points.
Let's get started with just entering the country. Years ago, if you were visiting a country that didn't require you to have a visa, your passport was usually enough. But today, many countries have additional requirements. Many require online registration before arrival, which is known as an ETA, or an electronic travel authorization, and the requirements can change from one year to the next.
Now, the good news is that checking those requirements is easy. Before booking a trip, visit the official government tourism or immigration websites for every country you'll visit. Don't rely solely on social media posts or old travel articles. Requirements do change, sometimes for the better. For instance, South Korea implemented an ETA system a few years ago, but has had some long periods where they've waived the fee.
We lucked out when our visit to Seoul in 2023 was during one of those timeframes. We still had to fill out an electronic arrival card, but we didn't need the Korean ETA and we didn't have to pay a fee.
And most of Europe is planning to require an ETA, but they've postponed the start date a couple of times already. So again, check for current information, and remember the United Kingdom is no longer a part of the European Union, and they've already phased in their ETA system, but that cost us about £20 each. Except at least it's good for as many visits as you're able to do within 2 years.
If you've seen some of our other videos, you'll know we select our flights intentionally. Because of this, we've already used our UK ETA twice.
And those were both on the same trip. We started the trip in London and we flew home from Italy. The early evening flight from Rome had an overnight layover at Heathrow, but that worked for us because it gave us a whole extra day in Rome. We got a hotel room for the night because we didn't want to just stay in the terminal, but that meant we had to clear customs and border control and officially enter the country. So yes, we needed an ETA even for the airport hotel.
Yeah, we didn't leave the airport, but we still needed it.
Now let's talk about how air travel has changed. It's become much more self-service. You check in online, upload passport information, manage seat assignments. If you want, you can pre-select your in-flight meals, track delays, receive boarding passes, all either online or through the app.
You don't have to be a technology expert, but it's really worth downloading your airline's app before you leave. And also, we strongly recommend taking screenshots of important information in case you lose internet access. Many travelers assume they'll need lots of cash, but in some countries, we have found exactly the opposite. Credit cards are accepted almost everywhere, especially Visa and MasterCard, and some places have become nearly cashless.
At the same time, a few destinations still rely heavily on cash.
Japan comes to mind, especially some of the little ramen shops and other mom-and-pop restaurants that you can find on these narrow, non-touristy side streets.
Yeah, the kind of places we seek out when we travel. That's why we usually carry some local currency, just not hundreds of dollars. Currency conversion mistakes are some of the easiest to make. When paying by credit card, the vendor's payment terminal may ask whether you'd like to pay in US dollars or the local currency. We strongly recommend you always select the vendor's local currency and always use a credit card that doesn't itself charge foreign transaction fees.
Choosing to pay in US dollars triggers something called the dynamic currency conversion. That may sound helpful, but it isn't. It usually means a bad exchange rate, additional fees, or both. We've talked about this in another video because it's one of the easiest ways to overpay while traveling.
Now, the choice of whether to use the vendor's local currency can also happen at ATM machines overseas, or even at home if you're buying something from a vendor who's located in another country. For example, I recently purchased Austrian train tickets. Well, my credit card, or I tried to purchase them, my credit card just wasn't working. And I realized it was because the train company did not accept US credit cards on their website. I was able to buy the tickets using PayPal. Well, PayPal asked me if I wanted to pay in euros or US dollars, and I selected euros and then paid for the order using a credit card that does not charge foreign conversion fees. This allowed me to get the tickets, but avoid PayPal's roughly 4% conversion fee. Again, if presented with this choice, Always choose the vendor's local currency. And if you're using PayPal or a similar service, choose the vendor's local currency. But make sure the charge goes to a credit card that itself doesn't charge foreign conversion fees.
Years ago, travelers carried guidebooks, printed directions, and paper maps. Today, your phone does most of that work. Maps, translation, restaurant reviews, transportation, boarding passes, hotel reservations, everything is on your phone.
Before you travel, make sure you know if you'll be able to use your phone in the countries you're going to visit. First, check with your carrier to see what is already included in your mobile phone plan. Many plans include international data and texting for lots of countries, and you might not even realize it.
You may also be able to purchase a short-term international data plan, which would then let you use your phone during your trip. But keep in mind that is usually just for data and text, not for calling. There's a workaround to this, but it's too much to explain in this video. Let us know in the comments if you'd like us to make a video on this topic.
Now, we used a T-Mobile plan for people over age 55. It's reasonably priced and includes data and texting in over 200 countries. We've gotten welcome messages indicating we've landed in a new country within 1 or 2 minutes, and that let us know we were already online in that local country. We've also gotten that within 1 or 2 minutes of crossing a border on a train. And some travelers use an eSIM, but you generally need to have an unlocked phone, and many of us don't. And it can sometimes be very hard to get your phone unlocked. I used to have a phone that was technically eligible to be unlocked, but no matter what I did or who I spoke with at the carrier, the system errored out and I was never able to get it unlocked. I searched the internet and found that a lot of people had that same issue with that same carrier, so I got a new phone with a new carrier. Just don't wait until you're standing in a foreign airport trying to figure it all out.
Additionally, after you look up your directions using Google Maps or something similar, we recommend you take screenshots of the directions. We were in the Barrio Italian neighborhood in Santiago, and we could not get internet access, and we couldn't access the directions we needed. Having screenshots of the directions really would have helped, and we've since started making sure we have screenshots on our phone of everything we need for the day. We also take a paper copy of our itinerary in case there's a technology fail.
Now, travel today is generally safe, but protecting your information is more important than ever.
We recommend using strong passwords, enabling two-factor authentication or biometrics, keeping digital copies of anything important in your phone's electronic wallet, and bringing more than one credit card, but only walking around town and with one and locking away others, as well as excess cash in your hotel safe. That way, if a card is lost or compromised, you'll have a backup, and if you're pickpocketed, you'll have a backup resource.
Also, and this is something most don't think about, take pictures of your passports and keep them in your digital wallet on your phone. That can be a real lifesaver if your passport is lost or stolen. And download the apps for any credit cards you do carry. That way, if you do lose a card or get pickpocketed, you can go into the app and lock the card immediately.
Now, here's the part that surprises many people. Despite all these changes, international travel is often easier than it used to be. Translation apps work remarkably well, even in places like Korea. Maps are available on your phone. Hotels and attractions can be researched, and many tickets can be purchased and reservations made in advance. And it's easier than ever to stay connected with family back home.
If you haven't traveled internationally in years, don't let the technology intimidate you. Most of it actually makes travel simpler once you understand the basics.
We'd like to know, what's the longest you've gone between international trips? And what concerns you most about traveling internationally today? Let us know in the comments.
If you're planning an international trip, you might also enjoy our video about international travel mistakes that can cost you time, money, and unnecessary stress.
Thanks for watching. Better living starts now.
See you next time.